E3 is a rough and stressful time for me. I always get my hopes up for a sequel to my favorite video game franchise, but I'm woefully disappointed. This year is no exception, though there are a few jewels in the pile of corporate bile. Since we're on the topic of corporate shit, let's start with EA's press conference. The conference was, of course, the first, and it started strong with gameplay of Battlefield 5. Though the gameplay felt like more of a teaser, Battlefield's CryEngine never disappoints, with almost photorealistic graphics. I feel that if the company showed footage that they revealed at E3, rather than the confusing, horrendous reveal trailer that split the community, I feel the reception towards Battlefield 5 would be much more lukewarm. The conference descends into a downward spiral, though, as the talking heads of DICE come on stage and reveal that there's going to be a Battle Royale mode included in the game. Crowd's own reaction was mixed to say the best. EA and DICE are really digging a shallow grave for Battlefield 5. Having a Battle Royale mode included in your game is just digging it deeper. Even though AAA game companies are starting to ride the Battle Royale bandwagon, the formula already feels played out with games like PUBG and Fortnite. In a game that's already heavily criticized for not being historically accurate, having a woman with a prosthetic arm fighting on the front lines, and the devs claiming that they're on the right side of history, it's going to be a rough year for the Battlefield franchise, especially considering how much of a backlash they received from quote-unquote sexist gamers. After Battlefield 5, EA took a nice big chunk of their time to talk about sports games. Can't really say much about sports games, it happens every year. Then on to indie titles, which in my opinion were the best part of the conference. You can see the awkward pride in the indie developers that they had in their game, which took months of hard work and dedication to develop, and the games were quite interesting. More content was announced for the train wreck that is Battlefront 2, and they acknowledged the flaws in their ways for loot boxes, and General Grievous is in the game now. Woohoo! Respawn Entertainment announced their Star Wars game also. Not on stage for some reason. It was just the head of the company sitting in a row of people with a mic shoved in his face, being like, yeah, we're working on a new Star Wars game, with no concept of the game besides the player is going to be a Jedi during Order 66. The announcer lady with the most fake enthusiasm I've ever seen asked more stupid questions before she was thrusted off. Then came the announcement of a new Command & Conquer game. Oh boy. A one-on-one competitive RTS game like StarCraft. 2 esport dudes were put on stage until, surprise, it's a mobile game. EA single-handedly managed to butcher one of their greatest franchises by making it into some half-baked mobile game. This isn't the first that happens during E3 neither. The snake oil salesman, James Bond villain, that is EA's CEO, came on stage and addressed the loot box controversy and them fucking over millions of players as a scummy segue to mention how they funneled millions of dollars into charity. This was of course a ploy to make EA seem like a virtuous, charitable company, so you shell out $60 to EA's grubby hands to get a game that's lacking content and filled to the brim with invasive microtransactions. A snippet of Anthem was shown, and the devs came out and said that loot boxes weren't included in the game before the conference was a wrap. 2 steps forward, 4 steps back, EA gets an F. See me after class. The next conference was Microsoft. The conference started out with the announcement of Halo Infinite. We didn't see much besides footage of scenery and a warthog driving on a dirt road. The camera panned up and revealed the game taking place on a Halo ring before finishing with a shot of Master Chief holding his helmet like a badass. I remain skeptical, but I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a strong way to start out a conference. The Xbox head honcho came out on stage and revealed that there will be plenty of exclusives on the Xbox Game Pass, blah blah blah. From Software's next game was announced, which is a Ninja Dark Souls game. I like the idea and the aesthetics behind the game, honestly. Still a strong start. Then there are a few indie games. I don't remember it much besides the Furry Legend of Zelda game, Tunic. And a few games from last year were given a spotlight, which I'm honestly having a hard time remembering, besides Metro being shown. Maybe due to boredom. Microsoft then treated us to a good 30 minutes of Forza Horizon 4. Like EA and their monopoly on sports titles, Microsoft likes spending a needless amount of time on their Forza franchise. Don't get me wrong here. I like racing games and cars. I'm a car enthusiast, so I like the Forza franchise. But I feel they spend too much time during the conference talking about dynamic weather features and a funky new 60 FPS mode before showing an expensive sports car on stage. Microsoft had a shortage of expensive sports cars this year, so they took a little bit of a break from that. After Forza Horizon 3 was announced, a lady came on stage and started talking about Xbox Game Pass. On the contrary of the overly fake enthusiastic EA announcer lady, the Xbox Game Pass lady was so low energy she almost put me to sleep. I'm sorry. After that, Devil May Cry 5 was announced. Looks great. The game bleeds edge like it's only spent its time hanging out at a hot topic, but the action scenes and the characters look neat. A new DMC game was on my list. Also, a new skating game that isn't Skate 4 was announced. Finally, something modern to fill the skating game niche that's currently in the market. I have cautious optimism of Session. The new Battletoads game announcement came completely out of left field. I'm overjoyed there's a new Battletoads game, though unfortunately there isn't any new gameplay. Then, there's the Gears of War Pop Figures game, and mobile game. I was dead sick of mobile games, so I tuned my mind out for the rest of the conference. Overall, Microsoft did alright, which is honestly a first in the past 3 or 4 years. Nothing mind-blowing was announced, but I was pleasantly surprised. C+. Bethesda's press conference was next. The new Doom game was shown, which was neat. More gameplay for Rage 2 was also shown, but to be frank, I still have a bad taste in my mouth from the original Rage game. So I'm cautious with my optimism for that game. More DLC for Prey was shown, which was very neat. Fallout 76 was revealed, confirming our suspicions of the game being a multiplayer co-op / PvP experience. Closed for beta for a game was also announced, and it was also revealed that the game would be always online and through servers with a few dozen people. Also, you can nuke your friends. I'm not really that interested in the game, especially since modding potential is killed due to the game being always online. At least Fallout 4, you can relieve the countless problems of the game itself through community mods. Now, to improve the game, you must rely on Bethesda themselves, or Creation Club content a la paid mods. Fallout Shelter was announced on the Nintendo Switch, and meh. An Oblivion Dungeon Crawler mobile game was additionally announced. My feelings are still meh. Starfield was finally announced. They pulled a Metroid Prime 4 with that and only showed the title card, so it's in work, guys. The Church of Todd Howard also did the same treatment towards Elder Scrolls 6. I have a creeping feeling that Bethesda is going to focus more on tampering with Fallout 76 and pouring Skyrim to the microwave than work on a new IP. Chances are we won't see any mention of a release until 2019 or even 2020. In my eyes, Bethesda wasn't as much as a train wreck compared to EA's press conference, but they failed to keep much my interest compared to Microsoft's conference. Bethesda gets a D. I'll finish up part 2 of my E3 recap coverage of Squaresoft, Ubisoft, Sony, and Nintendo. Just like, unsubscribe, stay sexy, peace.